with Tim Gilbert and Julie Snook. This is Racing Dreams.
Great to have your company on Racing Dreams this Saturday, and it is the start of the carnival, Jules.
It is indeed. Good morning to you. Autumn is upon us. It is a little cooler outside. We're off to Rosehill Gardens today, and the Autumn Carnival is officially here, and we have a very big show coming up for you this morning, so let's take a look. Standing by, we are live to Sydney jockey Kathy O'Hara, who has been battling floods while preparing for the Autumn Racing Carnival.
The story behind Shelby 66. Talk about Racing Dreams, the unassuming gelding that split the world's two top-rated sprinters in a Randwick thriller.
Oh, look at him. And as the Autumn Carnival officially gets underway, we will catch up with the champion jockey and trainer who has dominated in previous campaigns. We look forward to that.
Well, as we mentioned, the carnival officially gets underway today, highlighted by the Coolmore Classic for fillies and mares. This year marks the 50th running of the Coolmore.
And it was our next guest who was the first female jockey to win it back in 2012. Good morning to you, Kathy O'Hara. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, Kathy, firstly, racing aside, I tell you what, it has been a difficult period for you yet again. This rain on the east coast of Australia, you have been smack bang in the middle of it. How are you? How are the animals? How's the property?
Yeah, everything's actually all under control here at the moment. There was a couple of times there where it got uncomfortably close to the house and the stables, but we were lucky and it didn't actually go into like either of the sheds or the house. So, but like I said, it was uncomfortably close a couple of times.
Did you and Charlie have the Wellington boots out?
It
was way past boots. It was kind of just get in a wetsuit and get out there and get in it kind of thing. And then when it sort of started to subside a bit, every time I went out to feed the horses, I was going via kayak.
We're just like taking a look at those pictures now because, you know, you have wonderful facilities out there at your property. I do stalk you on Instagram and it is incredible to see the rise and fall of this water and how quickly it seems your arena and everything around it bounces back.
Yeah, luckily we're in a spot where it isn't actually affected too much by river flooding. It's more flash flooding for us. So that's why it goes up and down very quickly. And obviously we had two in the space of a week where it was up very high as it was last year. So, yeah, I mean, with the forecast, the way it was, I thought it was going to be worse this year, but it panned out probably the same as last year. And like I said, it was lucky for us, but the horses are up high in the stables and the arena is fairly high. The arena did get flooded this year and, but like it's sort of, I don't know, it's an amazing surface. I don't really know. I can't get my head around how it stays there, but it actually just stays there and take a couple of hours clearing things up in the tractor and it's pretty much back to new.
Oh, that's good. That's good news. Now, moving on to horse racing, Danny Williams, of course, you spent a lot of time with Danny down in Goulburn when you were coming through as an apprentice. What do you think of him and what did you think of Shelby 66 last week? And he's racing again today.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievable story. Obviously, he's doing a great job with the horse and the horse clearly likes a wet going. So he's obviously in at the right time right now with it being so wet. And obviously today I can't imagine it being upgraded from a heavy track. So it's an unbelievable training effort at the moment. You know, he's been backing up week after week. So just to be able to present the horse in like fantastic order like he has been, it's a big credit to himself and the horse. So I'll be cheering for him this week. He's pretty much nearly the giant killer at the moment.
Well, as we mentioned, today is the 50th running of the Coolmore, which I'm sure plays a very special place in your heart. You celebrated your maiden Group 1 win in the Coolmore Classic back in 2012 on board Of Course I Can. What do you remember about that race? Just talk us through, I suppose, the significance and what that meant for you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the lead up, I'd only ridden her once going into it. I won the Liverpool City Cup 2 weeks prior and I actually got the ride because Jimmy Cassidy was riding the mare and she was... she was a bit of a difficult mare. She wasn't that straightforward, and he suggested that to Ron maybe try a female touch on her. She might really appreciate it. And like I said, I rode her in the Liverpool City Cup, which she won, and she won well. And she was stepping up to the 1500 for the first time, so it was a little bit of a query for her. but she had no weight on her back. And, yeah, she settled right back in the field and she came with a withering burst. She probably just peaked on a run getting to the line, and I was so far out and so wide apart. I sort of thought I'd won, but I didn't dare to dream too much because I thought, oh, we're so wide out, and I was running out of ammo. So I was just hoping more than anything. And I was really pleased when I saw Bernie catering to me after the race.
Yeah, we're going to chat with Ronnie Quinton real soon, who has dominated the Coolmore as a trainer, and of course he won a couple as a jockey as well. What about today at Rosehill? What are you thinking? I think I just saw heavy 9, so that's an upgrade from the heavy 10.
Yeah, look, and I imagine it'll stay in the heavy range. Maybe it might get to an 8 because it is a good day out here today, but I don't know. I've ridden on the last couple of tracks, the last 2 days, Canterbury and Goulburn respectively, and they've both just been saturated, and I think the ground is so saturated, so far down that looking for upgrades is probably unrealistic, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays, but I'd imagine it'll be in the very, very wet going range. These last 2 days, the tracks have ridden, I can't describe it anything other than very English. The ground, like I said, it's just saturated so far down. So it's heavy going. It's very safe. And there's actually not that much kickback at the moment. It's just very hard work for the horses, and you need a real wet tracker.
You do, of course, have a handful of rides today, including a tissue in the Coolmore. What do you make of your chances, and what do you make of the field today as well? Yeah, look, obviously there's lots of different form lines coming into this race today, and this mare, obviously, I did ride her in the Epsom and she ran a great race, wasn't beaten far at all, only beaten under 2 lengths. And the other day, first up, it was well documented, she just stayed in the barriers. So she's never done that before, and she's obviously trialled well since. And they sent her out to Dan Robinson for a little while to do some barrier work with her just to make sure and dot all the I's and cross all the T's, and she's not put her foot wrong, they say. So, yeah, look, I'm hoping that was just a one-off for her, and she steps away cleanly for me today. But, she's a New Zealand Savabeel mare, so she should really relish these conditions, which I'm really hoping. But, yeah, I think, there's through the 3-year-old form line, there's obviously strong form there. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm just hoping my mare gets a clean break.
Well, you've got a busy day. You've got to get ready for it. Kath, we really appreciate you coming on the program.
Oh, thanks very much. Thanks for having me.
Kathy O'Hara, a very busy lady. There's also show jumping as well as the racing and the kayaking around the property. It's all happening. Well, thrilling scenes at Randwick last week for the upset of the century. This was some race when rank outsider Shelby 66 split the world's top 2 rated sprinters, Eduardo and Nature Strip, in the Challenge Stakes.
Only needed 20 metres more and it would have won the race. I caught up with Shelby's trainer, of course, Danny Williams, in Goulburn through the week. Take us through it, Danny.
Already the 2 great sprinters are broken clear of the rest. Eduardo going great guns at the 300 metres. Now McDonald starts to push the button on Nature Strip, 3/4 of a length away. Eduardo's got plenty of gas in the tank, and Eddie's still running at the 100. Nature Strip's got the job to get there. Shelby 66 is running into second, charging home. Eduardo in front, clings on. Eduardo just, but Shelby 66 nearly knocked the grandstand over. What a run in second, getting past Nature Strip. Well, there sounded like there was 50,000 people here at Randwick today. I don't know what the bigger story is. Is it Eduardo going into the honour roll of the Challenge Stakes? Or is it Shelby 66 who's run the race of his life? Shelby 66 has charged at Eduardo. He's missed, but he's run second and he's beaten Nature Strip after winning a highway last week.
Here he is saying g'day. Hello, Shelby 66. This horse races again today at Rosehill. Last week, beat home the Everest winner, almost pipped Eduardo. It was extraordinary.
Unbelievable, Tim. I'm still trying to come to terms with the effort. It was just mind-boggling.
Yeah, and for you, and look at him. Hello, buddy. For you and Mandy, of course, it was bigger than just the win because you own quite a fair share of this guy and you've had some financial troubles over the last few years, which we've documented.
Yeah. We couldn't sell him, Tim. We got stuck with a lot of him and it's taken a couple of years to try and syndicate the horse, and we've got a few people in the horse now. We still own 45% of him, Mandy and I, and we went to Randwick the other day expecting to run, 8th, and 24 hours before the race there were 4 scratchings, and we were quite upbeat about the possibility of picking more prize money up, and certainly didn't ever think that we would be running second, that's for sure.
And almost first. Go out another 100 metres.
Couldn't believe it. Look, maybe another 20 metres and he wins. I love the photo of Tim Clark and Nash Ruella when they were passing the winning post. The shock on Nash's face and the surprise on Tim's just said so much, and we were all just blown away by the effort, and the result was just something we couldn't have even dreamed about.
So this will be 4 weeks in a row. He's gone second, then he's won a highway, then gone second behind Eduardo. And what about this one?
Yeah, it's a Group 3 Morris McCartan on Saturday, and while it's wet, the horse is pulling up so well, why not have a go? So the horse will tell us when he's not wanting to back up, and we're just taking every opportunity as we go. I mean, we had planned to go to the wild card at Scone on Sunday week, and
for the country champs.
That's right. And then he won a Class 2 highway against country horses at Randwick last week, and then since his gallant run last Saturday, we've had to relook at our programming and what we do with the horse.
This is the ultimate racing dream.
Yeah.
We've been going for a few years now, but Shelby 66 is a complete racing dream.
Amazing story. It's been a battle not only to sell shares in the horse, but we've had a lot of issues surrounding his career as far as soundness issues leading into his big run at Randwick the other day. And we were told very early on in his career that he would only have a very short career. So to go along with that ride and have things pan out like they have, it's just blown us away. It's an absolute dream, Tim.
Where can he go to?
Well, Everest is not out of the question. So if he was to perform his next 2 starts, that'll give us a good indication of where we're going with him. But we wouldn't like to get too far ahead of ourselves. He's run an exceptionally good second the other day, and he needs to keep going at that sort of competitiveness to warrant a start in a race like that. But certainly a run in the Kosciuszko is not out of the question.
Oh, he's back at it again today, and he had a taste for microphones. And we're going to have a longer chat with Danny next week, of course, because when we brought you the Danny Williams story probably 16, 17 months ago, he was very much down on his luck and had lost a horse and financially struggling. So it is the ultimate racing dream. Yarm will have more of it next week. It'll be interesting to see how he goes at Rosehill today. Now, 4-time winning Hall of Fame jockey Ron Quinton joins us now. How are you, Ronnie? How's things?
Good morning, Tim. How are you? No, top of the world.
Well, of course, it is Coolmore Classic Day, Ron. You've combined to win 6 of these, twice as a jockey, 4 times as a trainer. This must be a pretty special race to you.
Yeah, well, it is, that's for sure. It's obviously my favourite race, as the Golden Slipper was my favourite as a jockey. I had a lovely little run there for a few years there with the Coolmore, and unfortunately the last 2 years I haven't had a filly or a mare good enough to run in a Coolmore. But hopefully in the near future I'll have another one good enough to run in the Coolmore.
I'm sure you will, Ron. I'm sure you will. You're a winner. I do wonder sometimes why. Why is there such a great association? Why has this race been so good to you and you so good to it?
Well, it's hard to say really, but I suppose I've always been a bit fortunate that I've always had a fairly decent mare in the stable. And of course I can to start with. She had mountain of ability, and it took us a long time to get her properly educated. And she ended up winning 8 races. She probably could have raced on a little bit longer too. But, as we spoke earlier, we were listening earlier that Kathy had 3 rides on her. She won the Liverpool City Cup on her, she won the Coolmore on her, and she also ran 3rd in I think it was the all-age stakes behind Atlantic Jewel. So Kathy had a wonderful association with her.
As a jockey, of course, you rode more than 2,100 winners, 46 at Group 1 level. Is there a comparison with the thrill of winning as a jockey to that of a trainer? Is it something entirely different?
Yeah, it is, actually. Winning you never get sick of, whether you're a trainer or a jockey. But from a trainer's point of view, it's a long process to get horses ready and get them up. And it takes months and months to get them there and all that sort of thing. And when you get the result, it's a great buzz and a great feeling. And, you know, along with when Dixie Blossoms won it, that was one of the proudest moments I've had on a racetrack, because Dixie Blossoms had been knocking on the door for that Group 1 for a couple of years. She was unlucky in the mire in Melbourne twice, and she was unlucky in a couple of other good races. I think she ran in 3 Coolmores altogether, and she didn't have the greatest luck in a couple of them. And for her to finally win that Coolmore and get that Group 1 on her resume, it was such a special day, particularly for Alan Osberg and his wife Lisa. It was just, they're great people, and it was just an amazing day that day.
We're going to speak to another great person shortly on the show who's had an amazing association with the Golden Slipper, John Messara, of course, Flying Spur, and you think of Miss Finland and so many other horses connected to Arrowfield Stud. What about your connection to the specific win of Sedepper and your great association, your great mate Les Bridge? Of course, he still trains out of the stables called Sedepper Lodge.
Les is still training as good as ever, and he done an amazing job with that Classic Legend. He done an amazing job with him, and he's a unique trainer because he trains. He does things a little bit different to a lot of trainers. But I tell you what, when he says one can win, he's not far off the mark. But getting back to Sedepper, I sort of joined up with Sedepper to win the Golden Slipper, having my first ride on him. And then he went for a spell after that, and then he come back as a 3-year-old, and I rode him 6 more times, and he went from 1,000 metre first up to the Champion Stakes 2100 at Warwick Farm, and was unbeaten. So he went from 1,000 metres to 2100 in one preparation, and then he come back and went to Melbourne and just got beat in the Caulfield Guineas only by a neck margin. So he was a great little horse to me, and you know, Les is an easy fella to ride for. He rode a bit himself, and he understands what can go on out there in a race and what luck you need. But yeah, I had an amazing association. I wished I would have been able to keep the association going a little bit longer. But then, of course, Sedepper and Emancipation started clashing. So I had to stay with Emancipation.
Yeah, not a bad horse itself, Emancipation. Yeah, Les will be a little bit downtrodden today because South Sydney lost last night, but it's a long way in the competition this year. Ronnie, always good to chat, mate.
Yeah, good to talk to you two too, and all the best. And let's hope the carnival will be a very, very successful one. I can't see why it won't be.
All right, Ronnie, thank you so much for your time. We'll see you soon. Well, stay with us. Coming up, we are live to John Messara at the beautiful Arrowfield ahead of the 2022 Inglis Easter yearling sales. You are, of course, watching Racing Dreams.
Well, I'm not that happy today because Julie's going to Arrowfield. It's her turn to go to Arrowfield. That means I miss out on the charcuterie plate, which of course is world famous. It is very, very famous. It's extraordinary.
Almost as famous as our next guest.
Absolutely. You want to welcome him?
John Messara joins us live from Arrowfield in Scone. John, you've had a big smile on your face, I think, because you've been enjoying the show this morning. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I don't think I can beat this Shelby 66 story, though.
Isn't it an absolutely cracking story? I saw you watching that story with a big smile on your face. I tell you what, that's what this game is all about, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's a wonderful... Well, we're all even above and below the turf, they say. So we're all equal there. So everybody gets his chance. It's a fantastic story, and that's what racing's all about.
Yeah, well, it's a magic story, and that's a lovely little, maybe corny segue into talk about a horse, of course, of yours, Magic, today. It's going to start possibly in the red. Tell me what you think.
Well, he was arguably the best-looking horse at the Easter sale last year, and he fetched the biggest amount of money at the Easter sale last year. It was a $2.5 million yearling, which was a hellish big price for a baby. But he was magnificent in every way and had a wonderful pedigree to match. And our trainer, John Hawkes, has been telling me for some time that he likes him a lot, what have you, and he trialled him, and it was still not altogether obvious. And then he produced him first time out. He and the two boys produced him first time out in the Silver Slipper. And it was a stunning race and a stunning second he ran to another very good horse. So we've got a lot of anticipation about today. He's hot favourite on the back of that only run he's had, and we're hoping. But they're 2-year-olds. It's a wet track. Who knows?
Of course, and this is really interesting. Almost an hour later, roughly an hour later, his sister Yearling runs in Flemington. Now, the wonderful Ray Thomas says it's rare for equine siblings to win feature races on the same day. Do you think these two can do it?
Well, I think today could be the day they will do it, simply because the 2-year-old seems to be in good form and the stable's confident to run really well, and he's likely to handle the heavy track. And Yearling, on the other hand, loves the mile. She won the 1,000 guineas over a mile last year, and today she's in a Group 2 CUNY Stakes over the mile, and it should suit her. So it's a possibility, and it's a result we'll savour if we pull it off.
Well, you also have the opportunity to destroy the fairy tale of Shelby 66 in the Morris McCartney, because Remark comes back, and Remark, a hugely talented horse, I think favourite at the moment around $4 the field.
Well, Remark is a horse we've had a massive opinion of from the work he's done at home with a trainer, etc. And unfortunately, he was beset with a setback last year, which was obviously, sort of growing within him, and that was a breathing infirmity. And we ultimately had to operate on him. And before we operated on him, they did what they call a dynamic scope, and they told us that he was getting less than 10% of the air he should be getting. So what he'd done in those previous runs, seen in that light, were pretty heroic things. He'd run really well, but hadn't won any big races. So now that he's been operated on and he's come back sound, we're hoping that he shows us what he can really do. And that'll be maybe today or maybe the next run.
Well, John, of course, the Easter sales are just around the corner. I can't believe it's that time of year already. Of course, there were extraordinary numbers last year in 2021, a hugely successful sale for the Arrowfield team. Looking at the market, looking at what we've seen to date, the Premier sale and the like, what are you anticipating this year?
Well, going on what we've seen at all these other sales, including to some extent the New Zealand sale that took place last week, you'd have to say it'll be a buoyant market for horses again. And if that's the case, it'll be good for us and for all the other vendors. We ourselves have got about 64 yearlings to sell. It's probably as big a draft as we've ever had at any sale. And the quality, I saw them again yesterday, and I've seen them all week. I'm up there, as you know, and I've seen them all week. And they're a very impressive lot of horses. So I'm hopeful for perhaps even a record result for us this year, but we'll see.
We had a great tour. You showed me the new yearling barn, and one is Miss Finland and one for Flying Spur, of course. how do you look forward to the Golden Slipper, John? You've had such an amazing association with this great race for such a long, long time, just a week away.
Well, the Golden Slipper is the epitome of two-year-old racing. Probably worldwide, I'd say, but certainly in this part of the world. And typically, a colt that wins the Golden Slipper becomes a highly desirable stallion prospect. And most of them, not all of them, but most of them have done very well at stud subsequently. So, it's been proven. It's a race that demands speed, courage, even the ability to stay a bit, because at the end of that race, the horses are absolutely exhausted. They go flat out all the way. So it's a tough test of speed and endurance, and also, of course, of soundness, because to get into the Golden Slipper, you need to have won some races en route or one of the qualifying races, and you need to get there, and that means you've got a couple of campaigns to get through, and you've got to be pretty sound for it. So all of those things go to make the winner of the Slipper a very desirable animal, and so it's become a really important race. I've got another little connection with the Slipper, and the Slipper was devised by George Ryder, the SDC, late SDC chairman many years ago, and his colours are now the Arrowfield colours. Yeah. And so they're quite famous colours, not because of what we've done, but because of his connection with them. And so I've got a sentimental attachment to the Slipper and etc. And we have bred quite a number of Slipper winners, and we have raced two of them, as you say, in both Flying Spur and Miss Finland, and they're both spectacular stories as to how they got there and how they won. So very thrilling, really, experience, I must say.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, just finishing it off, don't give too much to Julie in terms of culinary splendidness at Arrowfield. You need to save something in the kick for springtime when I'm going to come back up.
Come on now.
Well, Julie, I have to tell you, we have a new cook on site now.
Yes.
And he's quite a guy, and I think you're going to enjoy the culinary festivities over the next couple of days.
Yeah, tell him to keep some stuff in his pocket. John, good to see you. Have a wonderful weekend. Say hi to everyone.
Will do. Thanks, Tim.
One of the things about the horse racing industry is that there's amazing, wonderful stories everywhere you turn. Whether you look into the history, whether you look at stories like Shelby 66, there's another cracking yarn at the moment with Castlereagh Kid. Of course, John Singleton and Gai Waterhouse back. And when Castlereagh Kid started out, they thought, I don't know how this horse is going to go. Won in Melbourne brilliantly the other day. And I asked Gai Waterhouse about this horse and what's in store next for the once plotter, now very, very serious contender.
Castlereagh Kid has put a hole in the field. 100 metres to go. It's 6 lengths in front of Shannon, but Castlereagh Kid's going to destroy them.
Well, it's an interesting horse because John Singleton bred him on his Strawberry Hills farm in New South Wales, and he gave him to us to train, to Adrian and myself to train, and he was probably a bit of a dumb bum and didn't have much ability. And only 6 months ago, they were scratching their head, his racing manager, Duncan Grimley, and John, maybe it's time to move him along. Well, he must have got the whisper, the horse, because he pulled his socks up and he's turned into Castlereagh Kid, Group 3 winner. He's a lot of my best stayers have been very slow maturing and very slow showing their real ability. But he's got a lot of ability, and you can back him now, pre-post, and back him for the Derby.
The Slipper, such a rich history with the Golden Slipper. You've won 7, starting with Jimmy Cassidy on board Ha Ha all those years ago.
The Golden Slipper literally makes the stallion of Australia. The colt that can win the Golden Slipper, or the filly that can win it, you know you're going to have a champion horse. And because if you look through the statistics and the stallions standing in Australia, all our best sires have come out of one race, the Golden Slipper. You know, some of the best mares standing at stud have raced in the Golden Slipper. So, you know, I call it the stallion-making race of Australia. We need it. It's all about speed. It's all about precocity. It's about the young horse. It's about strength. It's all the things we need.
What about the Autumn Carnival? So exciting. It really is just a magical time.
Well, there's another horse leading to this Derby, and that's Zoom On, who won very convincingly on Friday night at Canterbury, over 1900. A very, very nice colt. Heading to the Golden Slipper is Rise of the Masses, and he was most impressive Saturday. Still learning his trade, but a very much an untapped ability. He's by Russian Revolution. Beautiful colt. You've got Vangelic, who ran one enormous race on Saturday on a very heavy track, which isn't really to suit her. She goes to the Coolmore. You've got 2 horses coming up. One's called Surf on Turf, and he's by Not a Single Doubt, and a filly called Sweet Baby Boom. And she's bred by Rosemont, stud here in Victoria, and she's got terrific winning chance.
Now, we call our show Racing Dreams, and one thing that I've really worked out is that you actually don't have to be any specific type of human being to get involved. It's one of those sports where everybody can have some part to play.
Absolutely. And, you know, I've had owners say to me, no one knew I existed, yet I've got a successful business. But I go and own a famous horse, and all of a sudden everyone knows me. You know, and it's true. You just have this amazing ability. People in Australia love following racing. They love following the horses.
And we love following Gay Waterhouse too. She is one of the great characters of the game. Stay with us.
Absolute legend.
Up next, speaking of characters, we're live to Daisy Thomas for your weekend Pointsbet odds, plus the NRL group making a play for the racing realm. That story's next.
Well, it's the start of the Autumn Racing Carnival officially at Rosehill today with the Coolmore. It's a huge day, of course, and with that, we need to get more info from Pointsbet and the trading room floor. It's AFL legend Daisy Thomas himself. Good morning, Daisy. How are you, buddy?
Going really well, guys, and absolutely pumped for what is going to be an absolutely huge day of racing, not only up there in New South Wales, but down here in Victoria as well.
All right, let's get straight into it. Let's kick it off with Ladies' Day at Rosehill Gardens.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about the big one there, the Group 1 Coolmore Classic, and it shapes to be an absolute cracker. Now, track conditions and the weather improving. I've made a few phone calls today, led to believe 25 and sunny. Can you believe that? But there was a big scratching earlier in the week. That was Fangirl, which would have been the favourite. So subsequently, a few of these have firmed on the back of that scratching. Espiona will start your favourite there at $3.80. Lighthouse at $6. Expat's interesting runner for mine, $6.50. Absolutely loves it on the wet track. Could be some value there. Hinged at $7.50, and Promise of Success has been a touch easy, out to $7.50.
Big day in Flemington as well.
Well, it certainly is. It's Super Saturday, and we're going to kick off with the Newmarket Handicap. Group 1 racing, group racing everywhere today. And down the famous Flemington Straight we go for this one, for the first of the Group 1 at headquarters. Home Affairs. Now, it opened 3.10 on Wednesday and has subsequently been a touch easy. Lost and Running has firmed into $4. Masked Crusader, hard to catch a winner with that horse, but $10. And Artorias is $11 there. So there's some value there. The Pointsbet punters struggling to find a clear winner.
All right, and what about the Group 1 Australia Cup?
Well, again, the Pointsbet punters here have cast a rather wide net, giving the impression that it's probably a pretty wide open race, and the odds are pretty indicative of that as well. Think It Over's been really steady since markets have opened without knocking the door down, so it'll be your $3 favourite. Spanish Mission, of course, what a great run it was in the Melbourne Cup in November. That's the one I might have $1 each way on if allowed, so that's $4.60. Duis has been backed in. It was $10 into sevens, into $6.50, into $6 today. So not only was there money for it when markets opened on Wednesday, but there's been another nibble again on race day. And Cascadian, well, it's been sold there at $8.
And as always, you've got a special for us.
Yeah, we do. Well, it's good news for Pointsbet on punters, as we will give you the best odds on all favourites across all races at Flemington today compared to the other major bookies. So if you download the Pointsbet app today, T's and C's apply. And as always, please gamble responsibly.
All right, we have a huge day ahead. Thank you very much, Daisy. Settle back at home if you can. Have a good day on the punt, I reckon.
Absolutely.
See you next week, Daisy.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, it's going to be an absolute cracking day. So I won't be on the couch. I'll be in the trading room floor all day. But I'll tell you what, you guys after this, you've deserved an absolute cracking show. So go home, relax, download that Pointsbet app, gamble responsibly, but enjoy what's going to be a huge day of racing across all states.
Absolutely. Well, what a lovely segue it is now.
That's why he's in the team. I tell you what, it's like he knows what's coming up. Well, footy fans are happy because football is back. The AFL, the NRL, it is all happening.
Yeah, AFL returns next Wednesday. The Rugby League got going. last Thursday night. And the mighty Melbourne Storm take on West Tigers tonight. And while their focus obviously is on the footy with Craig Bellamy, 3 of their players will have an eye on the gallops. They love their horse racing and they've just leapt into horse ownership. Take a look.
So you guys, you've all bought a share, Cooper?
Yeah, we've all got, not a lot, but a little stake in it, Timmy, and we're very excited.
No one cheers any less. Doesn't matter if you own 1% or 100%. You still cheer the same, I tell you.
Now, Tyron, how exciting is it, mate?
Yeah, heaps exciting. It's something new, so looking forward to it, and keen for the ride.
And Harry, have you always loved the horses, mate?
I actually have. I've always loved horses. It actually bit me before, so I don't know if it loves me, but yeah, it'll be exciting, and hopefully some people can jump on board with us. We've got a few spots available.
Well, our show is called Racing Dreams. How do you reckon you'd respond if this horse won a slipper?
I'd be stoked. It's no lie that I don't mind $1, so I'd probably retire from footy, I reckon, to me, and I'd be straight over to Hawaii.
Well, Matty Johns, your dad, of course, a superstar on TV. Have you spoken to him? Have you told him about what you've done?
Actually, no, I haven't yet.
He's in, isn't he? Surely he's
I'll be able to get him in. He doesn't mind $1 either, talking about someone who's tight with his money. So, I think he'll be stoked to get in on it.
Yeah, you get your uncle on board and everybody else. This will be a very high-profile racehorse. Harry, what would it be like to win a golden slipper with this horse, mate?
Oh, just to do it with these boys would be something special.
We'll ask about the Melbourne Storm because you've got a wing problem here. What's happened here, buddy?
Just the AC joint. I did it. We played against the Knights and just got caught up in a tackle.
He looks like he's clutching his shoulder or wrist there, Johns.
G'day, champion. What's your name? What do you think about Harry Grant? Yeah, righto. Nothing. Not giving me much. No media training.
Now, Cameron Smith used to always say that Craig Bellamy used to spit a lot when he talked all over it. Is he still as vehement and aggressive and as liquid as he used to be?
Got to be careful what I say here because I don't know if you watch his Race of Dreams, you might. I don't know if he's a keen punter, but yeah, if you are in the front row when he's talking, you do need to wear a poncho and an umbrella because he'll spit all through your mouth.
All right, finally, thank you, Miffo. Thank you, Scully. Thank you, boys. But Harry, how's the Melbourne Storm going to go in season 2022?
I think it's going to be a big year for us, especially being back in Melbourne. You know, we get to lap up the Melbourne life. Racing's a big part of Melbourne, and the fans and members back in Melbourne. It should be good.
It'll be a fair party if this beautiful racehorse wins something big.
Yeah, I'll be frothing, Timmy, and I'll invite you to the after party.
I don't think I could keep up with the after party, but thanks so much to the boys and all the very best going forward. Now, Anthony Mithen from Rosemont, of course, former work colleague of ours over at another network, and just go to their Instagram page, Rosemont Estate, and I think there's still some portions available, some percentages available of that particular racehorse.
And good morning to you, Craig, if you are sitting at home watching Racing Dreams. Stay with us. We're on the road for the Country and Provincial Championships. Right after this break, we will have all the highlights coming up next. Welcome back. You're watching Racing Dreams. Geez, it's been a good show today. I've got to say, you've done really well. You've actually excelled today.
I've been working so hard. Not in your class, but I've been working hard. Just a little battle, a little Lebo from Guildford, Western
Sydney. All right. Well, let's move on. Now, Friday's Provincial Midway Championships heat was moved from Kembla Grange to Goulburn, but I tell you what, that did not matter because Irish eyes were smiling.
Absolutely. Robert Quinn's mare, Sally Pops, led from start to finish to secure her place in the Randwick final.
From the green of Goulburn, the luck of the Irish was clear.
Sally Pops left well to lead early from Too Good to Be True.
Sally Pops at home in the heavy to lead all the way.
Sally Pops in front, still in front and home. Sally Pops does it all.
They brought me some luck yesterday at Canterbury and a bit more luck today, which is great. super to be able to ride a winner in front of them.
Mum, how was that?
I'm just so proud of her. We'd probably be able to pay for the flights home now.
You sound like you're about to cry.
Well, of course I am. I'm so proud of her. I mean, she's a hard worker. She's always been a gutsy kid, and we couldn't be prouder of her.
Handful, sum her up really. She gets points to the start, but just going out today, she loves the soft. Heavier the better, and just told Ellen, don't take any prisoners, let her rip.
Heartbreaking scenes in Hawkesbury with the racecourse underwater. Torrential weather moving the Provincial Midway Championships heat to Newcastle.
Gates are back, they're off and racing. Kissa missed it. Favourite came out last.
Wyong-based gelding Kissa might have missed the start, but he fought to the finish.
It's Gio in front, 100 metres left to run. Kissa runs to second, but will also run out of time. Gio won it.
You know, it's soft in where he was, so he was in the worst part of the track. He's run really credible. There's no risk in the world. No, they'll know he's in the final.
They'll also know Gio is there. The Chris Lees trained 5-year-old firming as a serious finals contender.
Taking our time with him, you know, he's always showed a lot of promise. And this time around, he's really excelled in his work. He's continued to please, and you know, his run was really good first up at Warwick Farm. So Chris was really confident today.
Honestly, I was pretty confident coming today. His draw was just a little bit tricky, so we just had to ride it from the jump. He jumped really well, and there's no adamant pressure early, so I just took the bull by the horns, put him up on speed, and just had to cuddle him as long as I can, being second up, and we were able to do that, and he let go really well.
For the country contenders, it was on the road again to the home of country music. A day at the track, even attracting a couple of old sea eagles.
You look the part. Did you look country? You look country. Beautiful. Did you bring that with you, or you buy it in town?
No, it's mine.
Looked the part and even bet the part.
So what's the form guide say?
Well, the late great Tommy O'Donnell said, always go number 7, race 7.
And it wasn't a bad theory, even on a wet Tamworth track.
Commando Hut going with it as Banju. Commando Hut, Banju. Anathol back to the inside. Commando Hut back to Banju. Anathol on the inside, kicking back. Anathol kicking back too well. Anathol.
The 5-year-old gelding is now heading to Randwick, a relief for trainer Cody Morgan, who admits he felt the pressure.
That was the hardest one. Australian bloodstock of Luke and Jamie have just given me such an opportunity for the last few years, and I really feel like I've underachieved for them. I really do. So I need to get these results on the board.
Second place Commando Hunt also through to the final.
Really happy for the owners, Brian Rudder, Des Kennedy and Max Whitby, whose colours he races in. Fantastic. What do you say? I think I look forward to getting this horse to Randwick. He loves Randwick.
Today we're off to the west for qualifying in Coonamble.
Oh, what a good day out that'll be at Coonamble as well.
Absolutely love the country races.
Oh, well, of course, the Golden Slipper Carnival kicks off at Rosehill today with Shandon at Ladies' Day. Let's get your tips. It is good morning to Sky Racing's Brad Gray, who is looking very sharp, very autumnal with the tyre choice today. Bradley, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thank you, Jules. It's a good start.
Now, luckily for you, you did get Eduardo last week, but only by about 18 metres because Shelby 66, we heard from Danny Williams earlier in the programs, come second, beaten home, of course, Nature Strip, and it helped by the way they ran the race. But Shelby 66 is back in at Rosehill today, possibly the Galaxy next week. What are you thinking?
The 4th week in a row that Shelby 66 lines up, Tim, so there'll be no fitter horse there at Rosehill. I'll tell you what, that last 50 metres in the Challenge Stakes last week was a long 50 metres, wasn't it? I know that Eduardo, Nasrilla and Joe Pride, they rode the race to beat Nature Strip. They just didn't count on the fact that Shelby 66 would produce anything far and above what he'd done in the past. But he's obviously a very fit horse. He's in the zone. Danny Williams has him fit and flying, so why not raise the bar a bit with him?
He's fit, he's flying, he is an absolute fan favourite. How far do you think, that's a lot of F's in that sentence, how far do you think Shelby 66 can potentially go? Because we were hearing earlier in the show, you know, there's Kosciuszko talk, the Everest was even mentioned.
Yeah, well, I guess dreams are free, aren't they, when it comes to the racing game, and there's so much prize money up for grabs. You'd be crazy not to aim and shoot for the stars. That said, it's hard to measure a horse like him. As a form analyst, he's one of those horses that's really tricky to get a line on because he's been well exposed. It's not as if he's just new to the scene. We've seen him come through the grades, through the country scenes, through the highways even so, and he produced something that he's never done before there last time out. So what do we do as a form analyst? Do we say, well, he's gone to a whole new level, he's just found a new lease on life and he can hold that now? Or was that a little anomaly, the fact that he's just backed up so quickly, the race was run to suit, and he obviously loved the heavy conditions. So I think we'll learn a lot about him today. If he's all of a sudden matching motors with horses like Remark and Rule of Law in today's Maurice McCartan, I think we can start taking him a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, Australia's finest fillies and mares compete in the Group 1 Coolmore Classic there. Who do you like?
They do. I'm with Lighthouse here for Kieran Maher and David Eustace. You look back through the last couple of runnings of this race and a lot of these mares with the bigger weights have carried weights to win. So I think you can get sucked into thinking, oh, all these mares and fillies with no weight on their back look better suited. But generally, class has risen to the top. She comes back from 2 Group 1 weight for age races, which are set up that I absolutely love. And she is on the 7-day backup, having run second to Forbidden Love the last time we saw her at the races just 7 days ago. So I think she maps to get the run of the race. If you do like a roughie, though, the last 7 runnings of this race, guys, the shortest price winner has been $13. So if you like something a little bit wide, I can't talk you out of it. And I think 2 roughies that will run well are Wonder Bar for Chris Lees, the last start winner of the Newcastle Newmarket, and Crone, the defending champ. She's been forgotten. 12 months ago, she was winning this race, and all of a sudden today, she's around that $20 quote.
What about the Pago Stakes today?
Yeah, so one of the interesting elements about today's race card, of course, we've got the Group 1 racing there with the fillies and mares, but you've got a couple of 2-year-old races, one of those being the Pago. So this is the last chance for these 2-year-olds to book a spot in the Golden Slipper in 7 days' time. Magic is a really firm favourite. I can see why. Team Hawks look to have a really smart youngster on their hands. We've only seen him once at the races. He ran second behind Best of Bordeaux, but he really flashed home, really charged late. So he's very skinny today, but I think he's very short, and I think he is entitled to be very short, and I think he'll win and give the Hawks team a few things to think about as to whether to back him up next week. But he's my best bet of the day. As far as maybe a couple of a bit juicier odds than the $2 quote, I think we can maybe bookend today's meeting. So we'll go in the midway, race 1, 2 up for David Atkins. I think this horse finds the exact right race at the exact right time. 1,200 metres, he'll be strong at the end of that trip. Wet track, no problem, and he'll tuck in behind the speed. And one of Annabelle Neesham's in the lucky last there is Forever You, a staying mare, certainly with a stack of upside.
Good on you, Brad. And I reckon Hinged is going to be a real chance today. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate that.
Thanks, guys. Let's see if we can find a winner.
And as always, thank you to our great sponsors, Racing New South Wales, Inglis, Arrowfield, and of course, Pointsbet.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We'll be back doing it again. Bigger, brighter and better next week. See you then.
See you then.